About 1979, 80, I was introduced to methamphetamine, and that took a turn where I was using methamphetamine regularly, using it before I went to work. My life just began to spiral. I went into the revolving door of the judicial system, was what I call it, and which means that you would get out, you would go to jail, you would get out, and you would have probation. You would violate your probation, you would go back in, and it was a vicious circle. Moved to California, and addiction follows you wherever you go. In 1992, my sister Becky, she entered the program of Teen Challenge here in Bakersfield. She knew that I had been called to preach at an early age as I was a young man, and she began to pray for me. And I could feel it. I knew that she was praying for me, and even in my addiction, I knew that God was moving in my life, and I didn't like it. I hated it. And so I remember talking to her one Christmas on the following year, and I told her, I said, Becky, you need to quit praying for me because I can't handle the conviction. I know that you're praying. And she said, well, brother, I'm going to pray harder. 1994 or 1993, actually, I went to jail, found myself looking at multiple charges, and I called her, and she said, brother, you can get into Teen Challenge. I will call a man in Shafter. And she called him, and I came to Teen Challenge in 1994. I remember sitting on, of course, on the Teen Challenge side, and the songs were familiar. I knew all the songs. I knew all of the songs in the songbook. I knew, what page they were on. And it was then that I really poured my heart out to God and gave my life over to Him. And Jesus broke that cycle off my life through the ministry of Teen Challenge. And I remember sitting at a family reunion one time, and I watched somebody pull out, they were actually diabetic, and they pulled out their kit. And I remember looking at that, and I realized that I was free. I realized that it was taken away from me. That feeling that I used to get when I saw that kit or saw something like that was taken away from me. And it was at that point I realized God set me free. He really set me free. I was talking with somebody, and they said, that piano player at Jesus Saves is sure a beautiful lady. And I said, absolutely, she is. And I thought, well, she's already taken, and surely she doesn't want a guy like me, But in my heart, I thought, man, that would be amazing to be able to marry a great woman of God like that. And so in 1996, November, we were married. Being called to preach was, I thought, well, that's my preaching, that's my platform, Never really thinking that, hey, I'm going to be the pastor one day. In 2005, the church asked us if we would like to become their pastors full time, and so we have been here for 15 years as the pastors of Jesus Saves Church. I have been part of a family, part of a group of people that are set free by the miraculous hand of God. I think just being part of that family and just being part of a family that impacts lives all over. I tell people a lot of our church people, I say, Jesus Saves is nationwide, because there's so many people that come to Jesus Saves Church and they get saved and they run to the altar, and then they leave and they go to one of the facilities, maybe in Hawaii, maybe in Romania, wherever, and somebody asks them, where did you get saved? And they say, Shafter, Jesus Saves.